Hey guys, it's Kayla and this is On the Fritz. Today I'm bringing you my Get Graphic With It Readathon TBR while I'm drinking a Yingling. This is an amber and I believe you can only get it east of the Mississippi. So when my family and I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama for our summer vacation, we grabbed a big case of it. So it's really good if you're able to find this. Okay, so the Get Graphic With It Readathon is a week-long readathon where you read graphic novels or comics or manga or any kind of illustrated work. This runs from the 20th through the 26th, a Sunday to Saturday, and it's hosted by Kat from Brews and Reviews, April, Sarah, and Stephanie from Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. If you are new to me on my channel, I do read a lot of graphic novels. There's rarely a month that doesn't go by where I don't at least read one graphic novel. My favorite genres are science fiction and horror, and all the books on my TBR definitely fall into those two categories. Okay, so there are 10 prompts. The main goal basically is to read 10 graphic novels in the week. So yeah, let's go through the prompts. So the first is to start a new series. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Boys by Garth, Ennis, and Darik Robertson. This will also follow some other prompts. I currently have The Boys Omnibus volumes 1 through 3 checked out on Hoopla. So The Boys, I know from the Amazon Prime exclusive series, it's a superhero series where it's kind of like deconstructing the superheroes and placing them in a more realistic setting. So say if we did in our world, we had superheroes, this is kind of a realistic tale on how it would affect our lives and what would happen. So we have superheroes and they're trying to get in with the government. They're trying to replace the army and wage a war, and there's a handful of people that really despise these superheroes for specific reasons, and they're collectively called the Boys, and they eventually get hired, contracted to work for a different branch of government to monitor the superheroes to make sure that they're not doing anything inappropriate or not asked of them, which we all know they are doing. For the show, and from what I've seen in the comics, there are content warnings. So if you do have specific triggers, definitely do your research before you pick up the show or the comic book series. But I loved what is available on Amazon Prime right now, and I'm excited to read the comics and see how they compare. Okay, so the next prompt is to read a graphic novel with a hot drink, which can be any of the books that are on my list. The third prompt is to read a full color graphic novel. And for this, I actually have one in my hand. I have Snow Glass Apples, written by Neil Gaiman, who is a personal fave, and illustrated by Colleen Doran. And this is a retelling of Snow White, and I believe it's a horror type retelling based off of the bloody heart dripping here. But it is full color and it doesn't have panels from what I've peeked in. It just has a spread. Some of these have butts on them, naked butts. So they'll have like a spread. I guess there's kind of panels. And then just the text boxes across the pages that tell the story. So prompt 4 is to read a graphic novel in a comfortable place. Again, that would be any of the books I plan to read. Prompt 5 is to read a graphic novel that has been translated. And I have Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I'm so excited to get to this. This is a horror manga that is about this town where there are spirals everywhere, and I'm thinking it makes people go crazy, or it causes them to do harmful things or something of the nature. I just know spirals are involved, and it is horror. I have read Tomi by him, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, but the only thing I didn't like about it, and I wasn't expecting from it, was that it was serialized, meaning like there's just like a bunch of like short stories and a few stories that have an arching plot, but overall it was just a bunch of short stories with this returning villain of Tomi coming back again and again and again. And so I think that's how this one's set up too, just because there is a table of content in the beginning that has like the different short story titles. And so knowing that before I go in, I'm hoping that won't deter from my enjoyment, because I would have rather just have one large overarching plot, but I'm pretty sure these are just a bunch of small plots in the same town, maybe a couple same characters, who knows. But the next prompt, number 6, is to read a graphic novel all in one sitting, and that could be any of these, because I, for the most part, read any of my graphic novels in one sitting, minus maybe Uzumaki, just because that is the entire collection. But any of the smaller single volumes, definitely in one sitting. Prompt number 7 is read a scary or paranormal graphic novel. Most of these are horror, but for this I have Black Hole by Charles Burns. I picked this up at my library and it was on display with Uzumaki for the horror display. And so all I know about this is that it's horror. The artwork is really pretty. It is black and white and clean cut. From when I was peeking in, it did seem like the vibe I'm getting is that it's going to be about either a high school student who may become a serial killer, or who wants to become a serial killer, or has like those tendencies, but I honestly have no idea what this is about, but I'm excited to get to it. And I do know that it is horror. Prompt number 8 is read a graphic novel that has a book, movie, or TV adaptation. Bonus if you read or watch the adaptation. So going back to The Boys, I have already watched the season 1 that's on Amazon Prime. I'm going to be reading the graphic novel that the show was based off of. Prompt number 9 is to read a book from a host TBR. And for that, I'm going to be rereading Lock and Key Volume 1 by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodgriuez. This is on Cat's TBR, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be rereading the first volume or all 6 volumes, but definitely Volume 1 for this readathon. This is my favorite comic of all time. It is a horror comic where we go to this house called Key House, and the youngest sibling finds these mysterious keys all across the house, and each key does a specific unique thing. There's a villain that is trying to get access to the keys for a specific reason, and the family moved to Key House after a very tragic event that happened in their lives that happens right away in the beginning. So this is horror. Again, if you have certain triggers, educate yourself before you do pick this up. And the 10th and final prompt is to read 10 graphic novels. I definitely will be reading 10 graphic novels. Another series that I do plan on reading that will either add up to these 10 or that I will use for the other prompts, such as drink a hot drink or somewhere cozy or whatever. I will be rereading volumes 1 through 5 of Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaugh and Cliff Chiang, and in preparation to read volume 6, which is the final volume of Paper Girls. I have reread this entire series 3 times already. It is one of my favorites, and this is a sci-fi series that follows 4 paper girls who go out and hand out the paper the night after Halloween, and some very weird things start to happen to them and their town. I don't want to give too much more than that. You may or may not know more that happens in this, but I think it's fun to go in blind. That way you can kind of experience as the story goes along. Again, all 6 volumes are out. A lot of people's criticisms are that it is confusing and they're not really sure what's going on, which is very true. I felt that same way early on. I originally gave this first volume 3 stars, but the series is so well done. It is so well plotted out, which is one of my favorite things in comics, is when you can tell when a writer has the entire storyline plotted out rather than they kind of have the first bit and then they try to change it, or when they try to expand the world, some things from the beginning don't really add up to things that happen on later on. And so with this one, you definitely do see Easter eggs and nuances early in the series that lead to reveals later on in the series that aren't necessarily in the text. They are in the visuals, in the design, and the artwork. And I love it when you can get a story from the text as well as its own story and reveals in the artwork. Okay, so I believe those are all the things I'm planning on reading for the Get Graphic With It readathon. I'm so excited to participate this time. I love graphic novels. I'm excited to find other people that are participating that also love graphic novels, or if you are reading them for the first time, I'm so excited for this adventure you're on. Graphic novels are such a fun and unique experience. Whether you're reading them physically or you're reading them digitally, there's something out there for everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.